Good morning from the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium. It is the Bank Alphala presents Blue World City, Pakistan versus Bangladesh Test Series. Day 3 of the second test. We're all geared up for some real good action here. Just a quick look at what is happening and what to expect in the coming 3 days. First day was completely washed out, so literally it was the first day yesterday. Pakistan were bowled out for 274, and then Bangladesh in reply scored 10 runs, so the trail is of 264. Whether this score is good enough, batting first in a 4-day test match, I've got my guests along with me, and I'm going to ask them the question. Athar Ali Khan, Amir Sohail. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
274, I'll start with you, Athar. You feel Bangladesh would feel maybe 50 a touch too many? They could have controlled if the catches were taken.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, because they did drop a few chances, but you can't think too much about the past. Still, they'll be pretty pleased to see that they have bowled Pakistan out for 274. What is more important for Bangladesh is to realize the fact that since, if you look back last couple of years, the top order not contributing. But they did contribute in that first test innings of the first test match. So they have to bat well. It is of mighty importance if they can manage to hold on to the nerves. Survived yesterday, remember, the first ball went to the slip straightforward chance, floored by Saud Shakil. So if you can handle yourself early on, not to lose early wickets, then you might take control of the test match. But still an open test match, and it can move either way.
Keeping 4 days in mind, Amir, how do you feel personally Pakistan's batting 274 and the way they approach that innings through the day?
I think, yes, there were a few catches dropped, but still, I would say, if as a side you're able to restrict an opposition to 274, it's job well done. I mean, yes, there has been so much of conjecture that this pitch is going to respond to the fast bowlers, blah, blah, blah. It hasn't happened really. Yes, with the new ball, you know, we saw a bit of movement in the air and also deviation of the surface. But it has been manageable, and it was shown by Shan and Saim Ayub. But unfortunately, Pakistani batters couldn't apply themselves. But you have to give a lot of credit to Matthias and Mirage, because when you talk about a finger spinner bowling in a test match, especially in the first innings, his job is to do the holding job rather than attacking the batters. But what he did was not only stifle the run scoring, but also managed to pick up 2 main wickets after lunch, and from there the rocks started for Pakistan. So you have to give credit to Bangladeshi bowlers, and that's what you want to see from the Pakistani bowlers. They have to show discipline, they have to show patience to be able to pick up 10 wickets.
Now when you look at what Bangladesh did, 6 wickets out of the 10 went to spinners. How will the surface play on day 3? Bazat Khan is out there. Let's join him and find out.
With an excellent day's play yesterday, with the ball carrying through nicely. It was a little different to what we saw in the first test match. Now, the difference was that the ball bounced more on the first day, which was technically day 2 of test match number 2, compared to day 1 of test match number 1, 7 centimeters. Now, that is a little, we'd say 7 centimeters, you take that on its own, it's not a big difference, but in terms of the bounce, that is significant. And that has caused the bowlers to be able to bowl short of length and get something extra from the pitch. Now, 2 dismissals I want to talk about. Firstly, Saud Shakil, ball does nip back in, but it's that extra bounce that almost hits him on the glove and then goes on to the stumps. Then Nahid Rana smashes the ball into the pitch. Rizwan nicks it to slip. Again, extra bounce. So that's something that the bowlers can work on. As I look at this pitch, it reminds me of the old days where the Rawalpindi pitch on the second day, third day would just get slightly quicker. And I think because it's harder, this pitch, than the one prepared in the first test match, there is something on offer. There is still that grass, those tufts of grass and nice covering, but I reckon because it's hard, if I move down here, this is about the length, the short of length where you want to be pitching it. There is some patches where it's bare, so there might be indifferent bounce, but I think if you really hit the ball hard into the deck, you'll get something more. So work with swing, but after that, it's short of length for the fast bowlers, and that's been working well. I think, again, this is set up to be a very good day of test match cricket.
Yeah, we have spoken a lot about the spice and the kick in the surface, the grass covering and everything. But the role of the spinners, like I mentioned, 6 wickets went to them. How do you see spinners coming into play? Abrar getting first opportunity along with Salman. Will they have a loud, bigger say?
They should. Because if you look at Madison Mirage, I mean, he knew that he doesn't have too much in his favor when he went to bowl his very first over. Remember, there's so much grass on the surface. So when that happens, then there are a lot of things goes into this, especially if you're a spinner, back of your mind, oh, what am I going to do? What kind of fare I'm going to put? Am I going to get any purchase from the surface or not? But I think sticking to line and length will be the key. I think that's exactly what it did. I mean, remember, the last time any spinner in Pakistan picking up 5 wickets in the first inning of a test match happened in way back in 2000. That was Ashley Giles. And Madison Mirage has done it after 24 years. Yeah. So it's a special performance. But Abrar will need to look in that direction and also think about just bowling line and length. Apply the pressure, drive the runs, and see what the ball does, because the ball at times have done something for the spinners as well.
I just want to add to your question. You know, when you talk about Abrar bowling on a surface like this, Bazid was alluding to the fact there'll be more pace, bounce in the surface. So he has to rely on his sliders to be able to pick up the wickets, and it only be effective if he bowls off stump line. From there he bowls googlies, and then have the batsman patting the ball. From there the slider is going to work. He has to be patient, let me tell you that. Like Mehdi Hasan Miraj was. He has to do the holding job, and then he has to keep on thinking how to use that slider on a pitch like this.
All right, we'll talk more about how Pakistan's bowling unit can perform and get wickets, which they want to, in a day's time. It's time for a short break. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Pitchside Studio. Time for us to join Masterclass with Nick Compton and Uruj Mumtaz in the center, talking to us, telling us how to deal with the incoming deliveries.
Yeah, what a cracking start to Test 2, Day 2, and what an inspired selection from Bangladesh, bringing Taskeen Ahmed in, who put the cracks in the Pakistan top order straight away. Let's revisit that very first over from yesterday's start of play. Abdullah Shafiq set up and being challenged on both sides of the edges. The setup, the first 5 deliveries off a length, the ball just shaping away, one barely missing the outside edge, and then the absolute jaffer to follow. The one from wide of the crease, the angle in, the nip off the surface, and it's just one of the deliveries. You put your hand up and say, well bowled, sir. However, you still got to play them. And I've got Nick Compton alongside. Nick, firstly, let's revisit that first over. Phenomenal, but you still have to have the technique to play those.
Yeah, good morning, Aruj. What a lovely day. Makes you want to put the pads on. Look, facing the new balls is one of the toughest things to do. And one of the reasons is there's a lot of movement, it's hard, and you don't know what to expect. So when you come in as a batsman, as an opening batsman, the first thing I'm thinking about is, how do I build from a stable start? How do I build my house, so to speak? You know, initially when you come in, you want to be a little bit circumspect. You want to know where your off stump is. So for me, against that kind of bowler, yeah, I think he was outstanding. And the reason why he was outstanding is that he set him up, didn't he?
Yep.
The first 5 balls were nice away swingers. So there I am, the ball's swinging away. I'm thinking, okay, he's bowling away. And then suddenly, turns the ball around and bang, it comes through the thing. So the main thing to do there against Tuscan, I would have done is try to take one mode of dismissal out. I would have covered my stumps, perhaps stood on off stump, and I'd be waiting for that ball to come back in. The one that goes away, boys and girls, is not the one that I'm actually worried about. I'm waiting, I'm thinking, okay, there's one away. When is that one going to come back in? And that's the ball you've got to be ready for. And I think Abdullah Shafiq, although he was done by a brilliant piece of bowling, I think he could have been more ready for that ball to come back in.
A little bit more, let's get into a little bit more depth. If you can sort of further elaborate, like you mentioned, we've got a lot of young listeners out there who want to learn the art. Is it almost a case of sort of focusing and having those blinkers on when you're only channeled and watching for that ball within the line, and then having that technique and the frame of mind to leave outside?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for young boys and girls, when you're playing, thing, the game is, there's a lot of shots available to you, particularly in the subcontinent. Once you get in, the ball gets flat, you can hit through the offside, you can hit through the leg side. But I believe you've got to start with a much finer or refined way of looking at that delivery. So for example, when I come in, I just want to be thinking about playing straight. I don't want to be thinking about cover drives. I don't want to be thinking about the other shots. But those will come. But initially, get yourself in. And that process can take 10, 15, 20 balls sometimes. So you see a lot of young players come in and they're trying to hit the cover drives, they're trying to hit all the shots. You don't need to do that. That can come later on, once you're in, once your eyes in, once you've worked out what the bowler's doing.
Right, lastly, and very quickly, put you on the spot. What is a one drill or a couple of things that players coming through the ranks can actually do as practice to bring it into perfection?
What I did was I stood in front of my stumps, and a lot of people say, oh, well, you can get LBW. But actually, no, because if I'm standing in front of my stumps, I'm now looking for that straight delivery. My eyes aren't looking for anything out here because I don't have anything to cover. So as young players, get someone to throw underarms to you, let the ball travel as far as you can, and when you hit it nice and straight and hit it back into the ground. The one thing about hitting back into the ground is you can't play the ball early if you do that. So that's one of the best drills I feel, particularly as an opening batsman, when playing the ball late and under your eyes is so important.
Well, like you said, it is absolutely important. Challenging, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, classic example of what not to do if you're an opening batter or someone trying to understand what the bowler is trying to do against you. And yesterday when Abdullah Shafiq got out, I was sitting with Amir Sohail, and I'd like you to share what you said back then with the youngsters and others who were watching.
Look, I think Nick was absolutely brilliant in elaborating everything. But when you talk about Abdullah Shafiq, the problem I see, he shuffles. And once he shuffles, he looks to play everything off the front foot. What happens is when he takes that front leg towards the off stump, his upper body goes towards the off stump as well. And from there, he has to take his hands away from the body. And from there, when he brings the bat down, there is always a gap between bat and pad. So he has to have his upper body still. It's only legs. They're going to cover the line. If he moves his upper body, like he bends it more, the head goes towards second slip. And from there, it's very difficult to actually deal with in-swinging deliveries.
Okay, you want to add something?
Peach of a delivery. Don't forget that.
Yep.
It was absolute.
Oh, we know that.
Jaffa.
I thought we know that.
Yeah. And it's not easy for the openers because once you have 5 balls going away from the body and once jacks back in, bit faulty, but a great delivery.
Great delivery. So you're giving Abdullah a little bit of an escape. All right, time for a break. When we come back, we'll try to wrap up and tell you what to expect on day 3. Welcome back once again to the Pitchside Studio. Now, in this final segment, we'll talk about what to expect on day 3 and how Pakistan would like to make inroads in terms of getting the Bangladesh batters out. And highlight of that, what we saw on day 2, was the catches. 4 were dropped by Bangladesh, and the very first ball of the Bangladesh innings, catch was dropped by Saud Shakir. Have a look at that. This was Shadman's catch, and at this level, you would say, yes, things do travel very fast in that slip corner, but you've got to take those. And especially, Amir, when you talk about good batting tracks, this is so important.
That's where Bangladeshi team made the difference in the first test match. They were absolutely brilliant. They had held on to everything came their way, and their ground fielding was very good. But yesterday, I think it was not up to the mark, and I think it rubbed off to the Pakistanis as well.
Atta, how important do you feel would be this first 2 hours with the Bangladesh openers 10 for no loss?
Very important because they wanted to see 2 unbeaten batters at stumps. That eventually happened, but they have to start all over again. One thing goes in their favor is that they'll be batting with some sort of confidence in a sense because they posted the highest total against Pakistan in the first test match, 565. Opener among the runs, middle order, Mominul Haq. And the magnificent big 100 from Mushfiqur Rahim, 50s also from Litun Kumar Das. So the batters have scored runs. So the ones who get set, he has to take the responsibility to ride a long innings. Otherwise, trouble, because if you start losing wickets from both ends, then that is a problem. They haven't faced Abrar before in this test series, so that is a surprise factor for them. But once you get set, then you've got to take the utmost responsibility to play a long innings.
A quick one from you, Amir. What to expect? 3 days to go. Are we looking at a result? Could be either way.
It all depends today.
Yeah.
What happens today? Pakistan has to enforce things, and I would like Pakistani bowlers to be patient and keep in their mind that they are there for 90 overs. They cannot take 10 wickets in a jiffy, so they have to show patience.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. We'll let you get into some shade. All set for day 3. Pakistan and Bangladesh into the second test match. 10 for no loss. All to play for. Enjoy.